my dad didn't want me actually even to finish high school. So from my family perspective, education was not that important, but, well, I should say from my dad's perspective. From my mom's perspective, she felt very strongly that education was. And so because of her, I was able to graduate from high school. I was the first one in my family to go to college. And my dad would have preferred for me to drop out of high school and work and help support the family. I was very fortunate that I wasn't one of the older ones, because the older ones had to drop out of high school or school in order to help the family survive. By the time I ended up in high school, you know, I was the 8th one, and so there were other family members that were helping the family, so they weren't so dependent on me. So the older sibling, you know, had to quit. They didn't have a choice. When it was time for me to quit, I didn't want to quit. My mom didn't want me to quit. I was playing football and I loved the game, and that's basically why I graduated from high school, was like because of football. If it hadn't been for football, I probably would have quit. When I graduated, I had 2 choices: either come to the university or go to Vietnam. I mean, those were the choices. And had I not gone to the university, I probably would have ended up going to the war in Vietnam. I was able to get a student deferment back in '69. The Caucasian kids were getting deferment. And so I figured, why don't I deserve a deferment? And so I applied for deferment, I got it. But those were really the choices, you know, for me back then. It wasn't go out and work. It was very clear, graduating from high school, that if I didn't come to college, I was going to go to Vietnam. And I didn't want to go to Vietnam. I was a student enough at high school during my senior year, you know, to learn what was going on in Vietnam, and to learn, you know, that it was not a good war to give up your life for. And so I decided to go to the university. My dad also knew by that time that if I didn't go to the University of Washington, then I was going to go to Vietnam. And so by that time, he was also in favor of me coming to the University of Washington. And so that's what I did.
What did they think of your activism when you come back to Eastern Washington and you're working for the UFW? Yeah,
very interesting. My mom was okay with it. My dad was not. I mean, basically, my dad kept saying, you know, why are you doing all these things? You know, you should just go get an education so you can go work in a gas station. I mean, my dad thought that you know, you needed an education to go pump gas. Back then, you pump gas. You see, right now everybody pumps their own gas, but back then it was pumping gas. So go get it, get you know, education, and then come back and go work in a gas station as a, you know, run a gas station, or just work in a gas station pumping gas. That was better than working out on the farm. So that was his point of view. And so when I would talk to him, and I would say, no, you know, I want to work for and helping farm workers, and he would say, you know, you're wasting your time. You know, that's not something that that you should be doing. Now, he wasn't very aggressive about it. You know, he was just trying to open my eyes, I guess, from his point of view. You know, that it was not something that was going to get me anything in life. That it was, you know, that I was wasting my time. I felt very strongly, and in fact, one time, it's sad, now I regret, you know, at one time, I felt so strongly about what I was doing, that I said to him, you know, I feel so strong about what I'm doing, that if I had a choice in some issue in the community, between my family and the community, I would choose the community, you know, and thinking back, that was not something cool to say, but I was trying to make a point to him that my activism in the community was really important to him, and from his point of view, it was the family. And so I wanted to get my message across, and told him that if there was a choice between the family and the community, that I would choose the community. He was very saddened by it, and I don't think I was probably, I mean, if it would have come down to it back then, I might have chosen the family, you know, who knows. But my position was that it was the community.